Hey, this is Pierre Vidracote working at Planet Technologies. I want to talk about Champions Program. I think it's almost the only way to sustain the change in your organization. I think every organization should have a Champions Program around digital transformation. So I'm going to discuss a little bit about that in this presentation. And so, really, first, it's really important to understand that learning is not just something you do just when you need it. With the cloud transformation, especially if I take the example of Office 365, things are changing all the time. So it's a perpetual learning curve, and we see that not only around the cloud, but in the industry. You need to change the way you approach learning. In the past, we were learning at school and then we were working and then we were retiring, and now we have to learn all the time because not only the technology is changing, the velocity of business is changing, jobs are changing, our lives are changing. The pandemic had a huge impact. We had to learn a lot. So it's a constant learning effort. It's so you need to um, approach your learning with a, a vision of learning all the time, perpetually, and the more you learn, the more you will be able to learn without change fatigue. So that's really important to change this approach of learning, and Champions Program is really also should be designed for that purpose. Um, so also we need to understand the nature of people facing the change. There's only a few percentage of people who are really ready to learn. Um, there's only maybe around 16% of people who are willing to learn. There's the innovators who are probably using new technology without you knowing it. And there are the early adopters. And then, there's early majority will, if they feel that there's enough early adopters, they're going to start to follow the early adopters, and that's what we call the champions. So we need to identify those champions who can, bring the whole organization, starting with early majority, to follow them. And then there will be, half the population don't want to change at all. But after having a good number of followers who embrace the change, then they will adjust and they will adapt to the change because they feel they won't have any other choice or they will mimic other people. So it's really key to focus on early adopters. Innovators, they might be too geeky or too, they have their own way to see technology should apply, but you need to focus on early adopters when you recruit champions. Also, there are studies that shows clearly that the best way to learn is to learn from your peers. It's really simple to understand because if a central entity like central IT is telling you how to work, their job is to do IT and they're very skilled in terms of technology. So how do they know that, you know, what you're going to deploy is going to be useful for your job? You have a specific job. You don't need all those features that are provided with this new technology. You need to focus on what is important for you. So the people who are able to translate what I call translating features, technology into use cases are the champions. So you're learning more from your peers than from central IT or other resources like e-learning. It can help. It definitely help because at one point you need to understand the features. But the primary source of learning is to learn from other peers. And also the primary source of learning actually is yourself investigating, being curious. But the second one is learning from your peers. So if you can find in each department, each business unit, in each service, a few people who are tech savvy enough, who are engaged, who are connecting easily, who are didactic, who can explain clearly things, and you're going to train those people so they can, you know, um, transmit their knowledge and adapt their knowledge to their context, that will be awesome. Um, so, what are the Champions Program benefits in if we look at the overall benefits? So first, for the organization, it leads to better alignment because when you scale the change, and if you just communicate by email or other avenues, a lot of messages are lost because you know it when you communicate, it's you have an instant communication, then people forget about it. So you're not going to send an email every day, every week, or every month so people can be on top of things. You need to have people who talk to other people. So as an organization as a whole, it leads to better alignment. So through the champions, people, can understand the vision, the global vision, the how they should work together, what are the best practices, the guidance, and it creates momentum when you have this scalability with champions that help to create momentum. And if you just focus on a few people who are not connected with other people, you don't create alignment. So it's really key to create this alignment and this momentum and at the end of the day, the velocity of your business will be better, the performance will be better, and the growth will be better. So it's for the organization, I think it's key to add this momentum and this alignment and some sort of transparency through the champions. And champions are not only educating people on technology, how to use technology, but also business process, how to use the technology to achieve their goal, and but also on behaviors, what are the best practices so we are better aligned. And also there's benefits for managers in your team. When you're managing a team, it creates cohesion if you have a champion that can help other people to understand how to better work together. And so it increases the team's performance. So it's also useful for the managers, not just an individual benefit. It's also for the team and for the manager himself or herself, because it's really um, important that a team is well aligned and has the same best practice to work together, and the business is going faster than if you don't do anything and you let people decide how they're going to work together. It creates chaos actually, and confusion. So obviously it benefits the teams themselves. It benefits the manager. It benefits the teams because it brings more transparency into the team. It doing having a champions program that not only focus on features and technology but also on behaviors that will help to build a sentiment of mutual help, of mutual health, where people can feel that it's valuable. So since they see a champion helping other, they might want to help also and give their feedback and give their ideas, share ideas, taking initiative. So it's a, a cycle that is positive cycle that when you see champions behaving, then you want to mimic, and you see the benefits, and then if you see the benefits, you want to be part of this journey too. So it's really beneficial for the teams to have a champions program. For the champions, there's a benefit for the champions. First, as a champion, you you know you learn the technology before everybody. You understand the vision before everybody. You're exposed to this transformation before everybody, and you have an impact as an individual. Champions have an impact. They can feel they have an impact in the transformation, not only in technical transformation but digital transformation. Um, and digital transformation is not just about digital; it's also cultural. So you empower them with impact, and you give them visibility. Obviously, if you want to have a champions program, you need to communicate who's champion for what department. So it brings some visibility, and maybe people will be uh, rewarded for that. I don't know. It depends on your culture, but it can be rewarding for the individuals, for the champions. And finally, improve their skills, because there's a lot of skills involved in being a champion. There's technical skills, but also there are analytical skills, there are cultural skills, there are learning skills, there are connecting, social connection skills. So, being in part of the champions program will improve skills, soft skills and hard skills. And for the individuals, the goal of the Champions program is really to scale the change, to be able to reach and amplify a message at the scale of an organization. So if you just use typical avenues of communication, email and an intranet, that's not enough to scale the change. For sure, you need to have some interaction, people interaction. So champions are there for that. And at the end of the day, if the champions are, and it will work in some areas better than the other, depending on the champions, depending on the teams. But as an individual, you should gain time. For example, you can save time by better understanding how to work together, how the technology is working, what you can do with it, because you need to focus on this value. Where should my peers will benefit from this transformation, and also it will simplify how to transition to a new environment. So the champions will make it less complex, because when you look at the cloud, it can be scary because there's so many things that you can do that if you look at the mountain, you're afraid because it's too high, but you don't have to climb all the mountain. Maybe you just need a few things to do your job, and the champions will be able to find what are those skills you need, what are those features that you're going to work with. Might not be all of them. So champions might want to learn more than their peers, but the peers just need to be able to function in a better way, and their champions can tell them where to focus. So they gain. Every individual should gain in terms of business agility also, because it's you then you can faster work on things and be more aligned with people, and that technology is really an enabler today in terms of business agility. And finally, for IT, there are a lot of benefits. Um, First of all, I don't think IT should run a champions program. It's better if you have somebody from a business unit that is leading this effort, because you don't want to fall back in this pattern where IT is telling what to do. But IT it definitely needs to be supportive, because they're skilled on the technical side, might not be skilled on the soft skill side, but on technical side, they're definitely skilled. So they can help, they can support this effort of champions. But leading the champions program is organizing the meetings, organizing the sessions, the training, being able, for example, to identify who can share their success stories or even the failures, so they can, figure out if there's another way. That should be in the hand of somebody from a business unit, somebody who has influence around the organization. Um, so that's my recommendation. But IT will get some benefits because um, they will be part of this journey to not only focus on the technology side of the project, but also bringing value um, to the people depending on what they really need, and not treating everybody as a whole. And because when you do that, when usually the way IT is behaving is, we deploy technology, we tell you how you can use the technology, here are the 1,000 features you can use, and then as an individual, you need to be resilient to find out how it applies to you and where to focus. And some of the people might be uh, skilled enough to find out what is applying for them, but most of the people are not, and they don't have time. They don't see the benefits, so they're you're stressing them if you do that. So here, IT will be have a more positive approach. They will uh, work on what they master. So technology, and they help champions to understand the technology, but they let the champions translate that into use cases. So in that way, it creates some sort of dialogue between business and IT, and a partnership, and not usually in organization, people see IT as a resource rather than a partner. So it's changed the way you interact between business and IT. And quite frankly, I think IT should be a partner, because digital is a big part of the transformation. It's not the only part, but it's a big part. So, and IT, knows it better than anybody else. So you need to be partner as a business. You need to be a partner with IT and have this dialogue, transparent dialogue. And also, finally, I think one thing which is really important is when you don't do this, when you don't partner with the business, when you don't have a champions program, and when you deploy the technology, and even if you provide some guidance, even some micro learning training, some information or whatever avenue you're using, uh, people are overwhelmed already with work, and usually they don't really focus on what you're saying, because it's coming from IT. It's not, usually the relationship between IT and end user is not very good. Um, so people are not taking advantage of this change in general. And if what happens behind is either a lot of frustration, a lot of complaints, but also pragmatically a lot of uh, help desk calls, and a lot of solicitation to IT saying, I don't understand, I have this issue, I don't know how to do that. And so at the end of the day, IT, on top of what they have to do, they have the stress of the end user not understanding the tools and how to leverage the tools. And I'm not talking even about the business not being well done. So I think the benefit for IT is to have a better reputation too, because partnering with business, even if nothing is perfect, it's an ongoing discussion, ongoing dialogue that will help IT and the business unit to work better together, and finally will help the organization to achieve the global purpose and goals of the organization. So that's why Champions program is really key. I think it's one of the best OCM activities that is transformative. That's not the only one. You cannot only do Champions program, but that's definitely, I will recommend everybody to do a Champions program. And it's beneficial at all the levels, all the layers in the company. Everybody can find the benefits in this program. So hope you will try the Champions program. And last thing, I think a Champions program is not just during the project. If you want to sustain the change, it's as I said, starting this discussion, change is perpetual, learning is perpetual. So this effort should be ongoing effort. It should become a good practice in every organization, having a champions program. Champions can change, so there are some people who are not part of the champions programs that often. They don't have time. Maybe at what point they have other priorities. So it is a living program, and where you might change. You might have terms for champions, and you might revise. And there's other topics that I talk in other videos, how you reward champions, how you work with champions, what kind of activity you can have. It's really rich program, but it's really transformative. That's what I wanted to share that with you today. Hope this was helpful.